This is Dante Williams, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, I have to give HBO a lot of credit when it comes to their creativity. HBO has always found a way to reinvent themselves and come up with new concepts to help promote boxing events that they broadcast on their network. They're the first ones to come up with the concept of an infomercial leading up all the way to the fight, which was 24/7. We've seen how successful that's been. Now, of course, Floyd Mayweather claims he's the one that came up with the idea, but whoever came up with the idea, HBO was the first network to implement it, right? And now we have this new series that I really like a whole lot, which is titled Under the Lights. You know, I really liked watching the first episode because we got to see perspectives from fighters that have been in the ring with Manny Pacquiao, and then we got to hear from a guy who trains number one or number two, the best fighter in the world pound for pound, Andre Ward, Virgil Hunter. We got to hear what he thought about the fight, and we got to see him demonstrate and break down why this is such a competitive matchup. It was really interesting to see these guys sit down and watch the strengths and the weaknesses of Chris Algieri and Manny Pacquiao and then try to come up with a conclusion of who would win the fight. Now, Tim Bradley, he talked about Manny Pacquiao being a different fighter than he was before. He was basically saying that Manny Pacquiao, he thinks more. Before, he would just, go balls to the wall and just try to, overwhelm you. But Bradley believes that he thinks a little bit more. I slightly disagree with that because when I watch Manny Pacquiao fight Brandon Rios, as far as I'm concerned, that's the same Manny Pacquiao that fought Antonio Margarito. That's the same Manny Pacquiao that fought David Diaz. Okay? Now, I agree with boxing trainer Virgil Hunter when he said, when you get knocked out the way Manny Pacquiao got knocked out against Marquez, that knockout is always going to be in the back of your head. I agree with that. All I'm saying is, once again, when you go back and you look at the Brandon Rios fight, Manny Pacquiao is going to throw the same amount of punches that he threw in previous fights if he believes his opponent is open for those punches. Okay? He's not going to take his foot off the gas and really think a whole lot about, should I throw this punch or not? Now, as for the Tim Bradley fight, I did notice that Manny Pacquiao, he did make slight adjustments in that fight. He darted in and out in the rematch. In the first fight, Manny Pacquiao was more standing right in front of Tim Bradley, but in the rematch, he would jump in with combinations and he would try to jump back out. So he did make adjustments, okay? I've never said that Manny Pacquiao is a dumb fighter. I just always believed that he was a type of fighter who has a lot of natural attributes, a lot of natural talent, but at the same time, he has a lot of flaws, okay? Now, Virgil Hunter, he stood up and he gave a great demonstration of how Chris Algieri could easily control Manny Pacquiao with the height and the reach, which it sounds to me like Virgil Hunter, he believed Chris Algieri has a very good chance of doing that in the actual fight. So overall, it was a great examination of the showdown between Pacquiao and Chris Algieri. If there was anything to criticize when it came to this episode, the only thing I would question is, why did they ask Tim Bradley who he thought would win the fight? Which Tim Bradley, he said that Chris Algieri could be very tough, but he was leaning towards Manny Pacquiao. But yet, I noticed they didn't ask Virgil Hunter who he thought would win the fight. I mean, since I'm left to use my own judgment, the consensus is Virgil Hunter was most likely picking Algieri to possibly pull off the upset by the demonstration that he used, because he didn't really use a demonstration of what Pacquiao could do to win the fight. He only really gave a demonstration of what Chris Algieri could do to win this fight. So, that's the conclusion I came up with. But anyway, overall, it was a great episode. Once again, I'm looking forward to watching this fight, and that's pretty much all I have. I'm on to the next one.